Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. All right, this morning, I'm grateful for leaders who tell the truth, even when it doesn't benefit them. Now, I'm not talking about a version of the truth. I'm talking about the kind of truth that builds trust, especially in families, communities, and businesses. Something I'll never forget. Several years ago, I had a conversation with the president of a major financial institution. Let's call him Fred. He was under attack by unfair, misleading media coverage. And he said this to me. He said, Lee, if a reporter asked me, said, Fred, is it true that you may have herpes? And I could only answer yes or no. I would have to say yes. And I was like, what? He says, Lee, did you know that well over 50% of all Americans have a version of the herpes virus? Is what creates cold sores. So technically, if I was to be truthful, if I was to say what's true, I would have to say yes. And then you know what the headlines would be the next morning? Fred admits he may have herpes. Technically true, but not the truth. And certainly not the kind of truth that builds trust. And we see this all around us, especially in politics or in the media. Just answer yes or no. It's a simple question, but it's a trap. You see, it's not about clarity, it's about control. And it's egregious, it's manipulating, it's self-serving, and it's wrong. I'm going to call it a herpes moment. So here's my definition of real communication, of communication. Anytime you tell, here's my definition of, well, let me tell you the definition first. Anytime you tell somebody something with the intent to deceive, even if it's true, it's a lie. Even if it's true, it's a lie. That's not just a problem of media or politicians. That's a leadership problem. That's a leadership problem. And we all do that more than we realize. A couple of simple examples. And these are ones for us that we're not doing it to do harm. We're not doing it to manipulate necessarily. But nonetheless, when we do this, when we say something that's true, but it's not the truth, we lose the opportunity to build true trust. So in business, how about this? We're restructuring to better serve our clients. Technically true, perhaps, but the truth, you see, it may be about layoffs or budget cuts. Wouldn't it be better to be transparent, like with compassion? Wouldn't that be a better, authentic leadership move? How about this one? We value your feedback. Technically true, maybe, but the truth, you see, if no action is taken or no one listens, it's kind of empty, isn't it? The phrase loses its meaning. Now let's look at another type of leadership. How about parenting? Give you a couple of easy examples. How about, we can't afford that? Technically true, maybe, but the truth might be a better choice. How about we're choosing not to spend money on that right now because we're saving for something even more important? The opportunity to teach, the opportunity to be that leader, to be authentic. How about this one? Because I said so. You've said it, I've said it. Technically true, but it's more of a shortcut. We're using something that's true, but not the truth. You see, the truth might be we don't allow that because we care about your well-being, even when it's hard for you to see it. It's deep thinking, isn't it? So what is communication? My definition of communication isn't what you say. Communication is the response you get. And if people walk away confused, hurt, or misled, even if what we say was technically true, we failed to be authentic leaders. You see, true leadership is not about clever phrases or cornering people. True leadership is about clarity. It's about character. It's about connection. It's about communication. Let's keep our eyes open. We have to develop a bypass when we see this to help us pause, reflect, and realign. When we see it in ourselves. You see, when we use the truth, not to inform, but to manipulate, then we are not being the kind of leaders that we really want to be. Let's be the leaders who use truth for truth's sake, not to create contention, not to stir up contempt, but to create clarity and trust for generations. So ask yourself this week, look, Look for herpes moments, but then look for the more innocent ones. But where in my life am I using something that may be technically true in a way that hides or twists the whole truth? And what would it look like if I made a shift and I approached it with full integrity, even if it's not convenient? Let's communicate in a way that people feel safe, that they feel seen, and they feel led. It may be true, but is it the truth? Choose the truth for truth's sake. Have a meaningful week. Onward, upward, outward. We'll talk next week. Bye-bye.